Hello everyone, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. This is episode 4 of my Copic coloring hair series. This little cutie is from the Greeting Farm and she is from the Magical Kit. The first thing I did was just lay in the broadest area where I thought the highlights would be, and I used my lightest color to do that. I'm going to color up this cutie in colors of a peacock. And the lightest color that I start with is Y11. And then I move on to where I think the blue is going to go. And I start with a lighter blue. This is a B24. And I'm just making sure that all of my marks here coloring are in a flicking motion because I want all of these flicks to look like their hair. I next turn the image upside down and I'm using a darker yellow. This is a Y15. And I'm doing that because I haven't quite worked out where I'm going to put in the peacock colors, but I figured this way I could grade up to a darker, more intense yellow and then add this green color. This is a G14. And you can see I'm a little bit hesitant right now because I don't know how far I want the green to go, but I figured the lighter green at least will give me room for adjustment when I decide I'm going to go for the darker green. And in these little buns in her hair, these little towers, I don't know what they're supposed to be, but they're super cute. I decide that I'm going to color those up, at least the base of these little hair towers, with green. So I'm going in with a darker green on the edges. This is a G17 because I know that I could get the highlights in with the G14 that I used at the top of her head. And I'm just going through really carefully, taking each little segment and coloring in just the edges and maybe a little bit of the base of each tiny little segment. And I'm taking my time going through this, but it's actually really easy Copic coloring. All of these Greeting Farm images are actually easy to color up because they generally have larger heads. And that's why I chose them for this Copic coloring series. I'm now taking that darker green down a little bit further into this little girl's head, and I'm bringing it down further than the light green was because I know I can go back in and if I need to add that light green back in to add that gradation, transitioning from the green to the light green to the more intense yellow to the light yellow. And I'm just taking my time to make sure that I get this darkest green in at the base of where those little star barrettes are in her hair because the star barrettes are going to cast a shadow underneath them. Now I'm going to extend that lighter green color a little bit further into her head, and as always with hair coloring, I'm trying to follow the general shape of the head. So these little flick marks are not straight, they're a little bit curved. Now I'm going back in with the intense yellow, that's the Y15. And I think that transition is working out really nicely now. Then I'm going back in with the light yellow. This is the Y11. And again, I'm just going to try and transition those colors. Now I'm adding a BG32. And I think this kind of aqua color, it's called aqua mint, is actually what really takes this hair coloring to that peacock look. Something about that aqua has that iridescent quality to it that you see in peacock feathers. Now I'm going in again with that medium or lighter blue color. That's the B24. And I think that transitions really nicely from the aqua to the blue. Next, I'm going to go in and intensify the color with the B28. That's more of a dark blue. It's a royal blue. And I'm trying to get in just the tips of her hair. And I have a heavy hand, so there's a little bit of a smear on that little piece right there, but I'll show you a little bit later on how to fix that. But I'm just trying to get the intensity of all these peacock colors to be the same intensity throughout her whole head of hair. And now I'm deciding what colors to use at the top of these little towers in her hair. But first, before I do that, I'm going in with a light green color. I'm totally doing this coloring on the fly. I haven't practiced this before, so you're seeing me kind of trying to figure out what colors to use where to get the overall peacock kind of look. And I think the light green and the dark green for the top of her head and the base of these little hair towers is looking pretty nice. I decide now that I'm going to need a little bit of a purple color just on those tips of her hair, because something about this is starting to look too rainbowy to me. And I think that violet, this is the V09, really takes that blue color to its maximum intensity. And I think that's what this hair coloring needed. It needed that intensity. So now I need to go back in and do the transitions again. So link the violet color with the blue section. So I'm going in with the darker blue. This is the B28. And I'm extending that area a little bit further into the little girl's head. And then I'm going in with the lighter blue. This is the B24. And I'm just trying to bridge that color gap, the kind of tonality of these colors, so that the violet turns to the dark blue, turns to the medium blue, and then to this beautiful aqua color that I just think is magical when added to this peacock hair coloring. And I think that really makes all the difference. Just taking your time and going back and forth and transitioning so that the colors blend one to the next, even though the colors are different, the intensities blend from one to the other nicely. Now I've turned the image upside down and I'm going to the top of these little hair towers, and I decide I'm going to go back to ending these little hair towers in blue. So I'm taking the darker blue, this is the B28, and going along the edges just like I did for the green sections. And then I'm going in with the lighter blue and actually even the aqua just to add that little extra bit of highlighting. Now I decide the little tips are just too small, so I'm bringing the blue down a little bit into the upper sections of the green parts of those hair towers. And now I like how that hair color transitions from the blue to the green to the yellow, aqua, and then down to the blue from top to bottom. Now I'm going back in and adding another layer of the darker green on the little edges of the hair towers, because that second layer of pigment that I'm putting down now brings up the intensity of those edges. And I wanted the green to not be too muted. I wanted that dark green to match in intensity with the blues. I'm actually going back in at this point just to add extra little flicks to add the extra visual texture to make it look more like hair. And I'm going back in lastly again with that aqua. Now I'm going to show you how I fix the little coloring outside the lines with that black multi-liner pen. This is a Copic 0.03. It's the thinnest one that I have, and I think that that cleaned up the little smudge outside the lines nicely, and it ends the bangs in nice little points. Now I wanted to bring in a little bit of that purple at the very tippy top of these hair towers, just to complete the full circle of colors at the top of these towers as I have at the tips of her bangs. And I think you can barely tell in the video, but in person, you can really see that extra little added touch of that violet. I hope you enjoyed this coloring process video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I'm having so much fun with this Copic coloring series. I hope you guys are enjoying it too. Thanks so much for watching.